Hello dear students, my name is Mr. Zakaria Othman and today's lesson is from Ticket to English 1, Unit 8, Our Cultural Heritage. Our lesson today will be dealing with conditional 0 and 1 as well as phrasal verbs. So let's get started. First we'll begin with conditional 0 and 1. And I would like to invite you to watch the following videos and try to spot the conditional sentences.
So, are you trying to sell me something?
Yes, in a way. I do have an offer to make.
What are you offering?
A financial opportunity. Let me explain. If you push the button, two things will happen. First, someone somewhere in the world whom you don't know will die.
Hades is gonna kill us when he finds out what happened.
You mean if he finds out?
Of course he's gonna
If is good. I'm too old to get mixed up in this stuff again.
But if I don't become a true hero, I'll never be able to rejoin my father, Zeus.
Hold it. Zeus is your father, right?
Uh-huh.
Zeus, the big guy, he's your daddy.
Look, I know what I did was wrong, but this isn't about me, it's about him. If you don't help him now, Phil, he'll die.
Phrassal is an illegal exotic animal. I'm not allowed to have him in the city. If they find him, they'll take him away from me.
Oh, okay. Well, now see, you never, ever told us that.
Conditional sentence. What is a conditional sentence? It is made of an if clause and the main clause. The if clause contains the condition and the main clause expresses the result. Both clauses make the conditional sentence. Now let's begin with conditional 0. The following example: if you heat butter, it melts. Notice that the first clause, if you heat butter, is the condition, whereas it melts is the main clause and it expresses the result. Notice that the verb in both the if clause and the main clause is in present simple. We also may use when instead of if. So why do we use 0 conditional? First, to describe what always happens in certain circumstances, like scientific facts. The condition always has the same results and never changes. 0 conditional is true and real. With more examples, if you stand in the rain, you get wet. You will certainly get wet if you stand in the rain. Of course, unless you are using an umbrella. Second example, if you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. And this is certain and happens every time you heat water up to this degree. Now notice that in the example we regularly start with the if clause followed by the main clause. But we can reverse the order and start by the main clause, butter melts, followed by the if clause, if you heat it. Notice that the main clause is at the beginning, followed by the if clause. The main clause still expresses the result, while the if clause expresses the condition. But notice that in the regular order, we must have a comma between both clauses, while when we reverse the order, there is no comma at all. Now let's move on to conditional type 1. It also consists of two clauses. First, the if clause, and the second, the main clause. Notice this example. If we work hard, we'll finish the exercise on time. Now notice that in the if clause, the verb is in present simple, while the verb in the main clause is in simple future. Now, conditional type 1 helps us to express a real or a probable situation in the future. It also refers to things that possibly happen if a condition is met. We are predicting a likely result in the future. Notice that in this sentence, we started with the if clause, followed by the main clause. But we can also reverse this order, starting by the main clause, followed by the if clause. And the result is, we will finish the exercise on time if we work hard. But again, notice that there is a comma in the regular order, while there is no comma when we reverse both clauses' order. Using unless with conditional type 1. Now notice this example. Unless we deal with global warming problem, average temperature will rise. Using unless, here unless expresses only if not, which means we use it when we say that if something does not happen, something else will happen. Our conditional type 1 is common when we are talking about possible plans, giving promises, warnings, threats, or for persuading someone. Let's have a look at the following examples. If I go to Italy next week for work, I'll visit the Colosseum. Here, I'm suggesting a possible plan that I hope may work. Second example, if I have time tomorrow, I will help you. In this example, second example, if I have time tomorrow, I'll help you. In this example, I'm promising my friend to help him or her if I have time tomorrow. Third example, if you touch that wire, you will get an electric shock. Here, I'm warning a friend because there is a possibility of an electric shock if he touches the wire. Example number 4, if you eat my chocolate, you'll sleep outside with the dog. In this example, one is threatening the other. Number 5, if you drive us to the concert, I will pay for the parking. Here, I'm trying to persuade a friend to take us to the concert with the promise to pay for the parking. Now with conditional type 1, we can use modals in the main clause. In this way, we can express a variety of meanings. Example number 1, if you ask George, he may or might be able to help, and here is a possibility for help. Second example, you can or may leave the room if you finished the test. And here, giving someone permission. If he doesn't come soon, we must or we'll have to leave without him. Obligation. Number 4. If you ever go to Chicago, you should take the boat trip on the river. And here, I'm suggesting my friend an activity he shouldn't miss. Done with the lesson, let's go to some practice. Now time for some answers. Good job! Now, let's move on to the second lesson, in which we'll be dealing with phrasal verbs. First, let's get started with watching some videos and try to identify the phrasal verbs suggested.
I am a tolerant woman, but the one thing I will not stand for is disloyal.
Look, stop. You're going to take someone's eye out.
Elsa and I were really close when we were little, but then one day she just shut me out, and I never knew why.
I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
I'm gonna shut down everything but the emergency power systems.
Sir, I'm almost afraid to ask, but does that include shutting me down too?
All right, hang on.
No. Leave them to me. I will deal with them myself.
I don't think we're gonna find this funny.
if the game makers decide to take it out.
On who? On her? On him?
Now, many verbs in English can be followed by an adverb or a preposition. They are then known as phrasal verbs or prepositional verbs. For example, we have verbs followed by adverb. We also have verbs followed by prepositions, and also we have verbs followed by adverbs and prepositions at the same time. Phrasal verbs followed by adverbs. These types of phrasal verbs can be either transitive, which means they take a direct object, or intransitive. Now look at these examples. First are transitive phrasal verbs. Put off, which means postpone. We will have to put off the meeting. Turn down, which means refuse. They turned down my offer. Now let's have a look at intransitive verbs. Now let's have a look at intransitive phrasal verbs. Get up. Rise from bed. I don't like to get up. Break down. Stop working or functioning. He was late because his car broke down. When this type of phrasal verb has a direct object, we can usually separate the two parts. For example, turn down. We can say, turn down my offer, or turn my offer down. However, if the direct object is a pronoun, we have no choice. We must separate the two parts of the verb and insert the pronoun. Look at these examples with the verb switch on. You will notice that the last answer is impossible. John switched on the radio. John switched the radio on. John switched it on. Of course, it's impossible to say John switched on it. Now, phrasal verbs, where we have verbs followed by prepositions. This type of phrasal verb is also called prepositional verbs. We have a verb followed by a preposition, and all these prepositional verbs are transitive. Look at these examples. Believe in, which means have faith on the existence of. I believe in God. Look after, which means take care of. He is looking after the dog. Talk about, which means discuss. Did you talk about me? Wait for, which simply means wait. John is waiting for Mary. Prepositional verbs cannot be separated. That means that we cannot put the direct object between the two parts. For example, we must say, look after the baby. We can't say, look the baby after. The second example is incorrect. Now, the third group, phrasal verbs, where we have verbs followed by adverbs and prepositions. This type of phrasal verb is also called phrasal prepositional verbs. The structure is as the following. We have a verb plus an adverb plus a preposition. Look at the following examples. Get on with, which means have a friendly relationship with. He doesn't get on with his wife, which means probably they are having a problem with each other. Put up with. Tolerate. I won't put up with your attitude, which means I cannot tolerate your attitude in my class. Look forward to. Anticipate with pleasure. I look forward to seeing you, which means I'm impatient to see you. Run out of. Use up or exhaust. We have run out of eggs, which means we have no more eggs in the fridge. Because phrasal prepositional verbs end with a preposition, there is always a direct object. And like prepositional verbs, phrasal prepositional verbs cannot be separated. Look at these examples. We have run out of gas is correct. We have run out of it is also correct. Whereas the third and fourth example is false. Now time for some practice with phrasal verbs. Choose the correct phrasal verb for each sentence. Now time for the answers. Now this concludes today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.